Steven! Forgot to go live, didn't you?
I forgot to go live. Only the second time I've done that out of like 100 episodes.
All good, dude. All good. I have a question for you, though.
Mm-hmm.
Has the impossible happened? Have the Warriors actually won a goddamn road game?
Yeah, doing it against the worst team in the Western Conference.
I
Let's
know. Golf claps.
whoo, there we go. Congrats.
This whole streak has been ridiculous. Yeah, we'll get into all that too. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of Klay Thompson counting down that either.
For the listeners, I am holding up my 4 fingers.
Yes, counting is a something that needs to be described, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, coming to you on a Monday.
Yeah. Birthday weekend for Jesse over the weekend. It was tough to find a time to fit any podcasts in, and also the Bay Area decided it's a good idea to shut down one of their major freeways going one way.
Oh, really?
Dude, they shut down 680 north through Pleasanton, so it's like you're trying to get through San Jose to anywhere into East Bay. Don't work.
Well, all good. I mean, well, besides that, that's no bueno. But I'm glad you had a good weekend with Jesse's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of gives us back to the old days where we did this podcast during the week. But we'll try to make it a. Actually, you know what? I can't do a show this weekend because we'll be going to L.A. So I guess we'll do the old weekday again.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a good St. Patty's Day, Derek?
I did. Went to old Schroeder's, or I guess adjacent to was it across the street Royal Exchange.
Yes.
Met up with some old KMBR people and our good friend Rick Tittle.
Oh, nice. Nice. How'd it go? Did Tittle start speaking German?
No, Tittle
Or
actually
no,
did not.
I mean, my bad. Jeez, why am I so? Because I'm so used to him at Oktoberfest. I'm thinking back to German, but it's St. Patty's Day. I'm tired. Give me a break.
I'm tired too, and I just got done with the. See, this is why I try to avoid the weekday shows, but we got to do them because I'm not prepared during the week because I talk for 4 hours. Well, I don't talk, but I prepare a sports radio show for 4 hours, and I got to do this thing. So it's tough. But I know you have a rough day as well. So you got to do your KCBS updates and then do this. So
Yeah, well, it's you don't need to plan anything. It's a podcast, bro.
yeah, I know, but I like to be prepared, and the only one that's really prepared is Ernie, I guess.
Facts.
No, I am prepared today. I put this off for long enough. I thought we were gonna do the podcast yesterday, but Steven had to, do the birthday thing with Jesse, which I totally understand. But I did buy a cup of coffee, and I don't know what the expiration date is on coffee, but I kept it in the fridge overnight. Got a little macchiato. I don't even know what the hell that is.
You got a macchiato?
Yeah, what you're gonna have to explain to me what the hell that is.
I don't know, but it's just like all you needed was a regular coffee. A macchiato is an espresso drink with a small amount of milk, so stained or spotted, usually
Okay.
foamed.
Well, it was very short. I'll show you the cup. This is it.
Okay.
And yeah. There is mayonnaise in it. Actually, a good portion of it. I didn't really have a good ratio of coffee to mayonnaise.
Oh.
So if you look at this, it's actually quite disgusting because if you look at it from a bird's eye view, you would think it was like milk on top. Not the case. So
expired milk on top. Oh.
It's not expired milk.
Oh, no, I know, but like that's what it would look like.
It's chunky milk. So I'm doing way more than Will Levis did because this ratio does not add up. So because I did a terrible job during the season of picking games, this is my punishment. So here we go. I'm going to drink this macchiato with mayonnaise in it.
All right,
just for you, Steven.
Do you want some music? Do you want something like behind this? Do you want any fanfare at all?
Nah, it doesn't need it. Just you do a little play-by-play.
Okay. He's taking a sip. I don't know the 4 minutes into the podcast. Oh, he looks like he enjoys it. Oh, the first taste seems okay.
I'm not a God, this is going to do wonders for me later. I'm not a coffee guy to begin with, and ugh.
And the aftertaste. How's the aftertaste?
It's cold coffee too.
Oh gosh. So is it worse than you expected so far, or better?
No, this is terrible. Oh God, gross. Will Levis, you're a freak. I hope you don't go to the Raiders. Ugh, this is. All right. Anyway,
You're gonna be awake for your bowels are gonna be so confused.
oh yeah, I know.
They're gonna have no idea what the hell you're doing.
Oh God. All right. Anyway, let's move on.
Oh,
We got a lot to
so there
get
you
to.
go. Hang on, real quick, Derek. Just I
Go for
applaud
it.
you.
Please talk while I try to finish this.
I applaud you for going through with this. I know it took a while. The Will Levis was a gross one. I gave you the option to do the other Will Levis thing, which was eat a banana with the skin on. Oh gosh, you
Somehow this seems a little normal.
Watching you drink that. That's just.
Yeah, it's gross. I'm definitely gonna need a lot of water after this.
No, well, you know what? I commend you though for even going through with it. You didn't have to, but you did because you are generally a smart football mind. You're a lot smarter than I am. You know a lot more. But picking unders proved to be the downfall, Derek. So I commend you though for drinking the coffee with the mayonnaise.
Well, yeah, proves that I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to sports betting. So that's something I need to improve on. And yeah, unders was my downfall. Definitely.
You know. Can I? I'll say something for you though. It was your first time betting, and you used, or not betting really, but at least picking against the spread every game, and you used pretty sound reasoning. You did, and like
Yeah, it didn't
I,
save me though.
like you kind of had a little Fortinbaugh in you, when you managed to use some historical context and then factor that into your decision. Actually, I just texted Fortinbaugh at the beginning of March Madness because I saw him do a little daily wager segment, and it's just so funny when he's talking about picking the under, because when he starts talking tempo, that's when you know March Madness has officially begun. He's like, this team ranks 349th out of the 355 teams in tempo. They run very slow. So like reasoning like that, you did it. Congrats.
It's good reasoning, and we'll definitely get to March Madness. And I'm sure Joe Fortenbaugh, with all that preparation, and went out the door with all of the shit that went down this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But Steven, I think I've reached my limit. This is
That's fair.
almost done. I can't do anymore.
Can you show me the webcam thing? Can you tilt it a little more if there's any more tilting?
Let's see if I can. I don't want to get the coffee on the goddamn. See, it's about there.
Oh gosh, yeah, that
Yeah.
looks like it looks like hot chocolate when you have like little marshmallows floating in it. But they're
Not the
like at
case. Not the
at the
case.
back end. Mm.
All right. Have I fulfilled my punishment?
You have fulfilled your
Okay,
punishment,
good.
sir. Congratulations, well done. Very proud of you.
Let me. Ugh. That was gross. All right. Warriors. So
Yeah.
they finally get a road win.
Uh-huh.
They have not won a road game since January 30th.
Uh-huh.
And that was before the Super Bowl when they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And since then, they lost 11 straight road games. If they would have lost tonight, they would have tied the 98-99 Chicago Bulls for the most consecutive road losses by a defending champion. However, they avoid that thanks to the worst basketball team in the NBA, the Houston Rockets. So I don't even know the final of the game. They won the game, great, but that does not really absolve them of this terrible streak to begin with. Like, they had to win tonight, but in comparison to losing to the Hawks like they did and to the Grizzlies like they did, I don't think anything's changed. And I would say this is probably the least confident I felt about this team in a long time. I think that they're just going through the motions right now when they're on the road. For whatever reason, they get hyped for playing at Chase Center, and the road games just don't mean anything to them. And we keep hearing it week in, week out about how, we got to get amped up to play these games, and every team that they face is going to be, it's their NBA finals. They're all gearing up to play the Warriors, and their intensity just doesn't match the other team for whatever reason. It could just be they're lackadaisical. It could just be that they're living in the past.
Something we haven't really brought up either when we were talking about is and Kirk kind of mentioned this after the Grizzlies game, but we can't forget that at least the big three stars. I mean, I can't speak for we can't speak for Jordan Poole because he's their young up and coming stud who has not been playing very well. At least in Friday's game, he didn't. But age is, I think, playing a factor into this. All the travel, going back and forth, playing as much as they have, and now that you're at the home stretch of the season, I'm sure that conditioning is a factor, like fatigue, just in general. We didn't really mention that because we don't want to believe that. We think the Warriors are just immune to any sort of that, just the age factor. But I think that played into it.
I think it dates back to the beginning of the season when they had to do, where did they go? Japan?
Yes.
That threw them off. I think the amount of playoff games they played in threw them off. I think the Draymond Green punch with Jordan Poole threw them off. And there's a lot of factors. And also, I keep bringing it up, I think that they see the end of the road a little bit too with Draymond Green and Bob Myers. Yeah. So there's a lot of factors at play, but I also think a lot of excuses. Sorry. Ugh, this goddamn coffee and mayonnaise.
How does Will Levis do it? I don't get that. Oh my goodness. Oh. He's playing Mexico right now.
Japan's coming back. Tie game. They won the game.
Did they just win it?
They just won it. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a walk-off double.
Oh God.
Wow.
Oh, poor Mexico.
Oh my goodness, what a game. I was actually, to be honest, I was flipping through that a majority of the time. I had the Warriors on a little bit, but I was locked in Mexico, Japan.
I have it on right now, and yeah, oof. So it's Japan and the USA tomorrow.
Wow. Well, you know what? You know what? That's it. That should be the matchup though. From the start, these were the two teams that were favored. I think I was looking up the world rankings for all levels, and Japan is number one, but Team USA, they have that lineup. My goodness, that's going to be a hell of a game tomorrow night.
Yeah, wow. What was the lead? What was the lead going into the ninth?
It was 5-4, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah, 5-4.
So it wasn't that bad of a collapse there. But Mexico had an early. I think they were up 3-0 for most of the game, weren't they?
They were, and then there was a 3-run homer in the seventh inning by. His name's escaping me, but he's going to be on the Red Sox this year. And then, and to be honest, I was watching the Warriors game while Mexico took another lead. So I have no idea how they got those other runs. But man, wow.
Yeah, that's wow. Adios mio. Well, good for Japan, and the U.S. will play against Ohtani tomorrow. So that this as Jesse just said, Trout versus Ohtani. This is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's actually be very fun tomorrow. It's going to be on at 4:00 our time. It's going to be on during my show, but we'll be able to watch it. That'll be very fun to watch tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that a little bit later. We'll talk about the USA side of things, but to stay on the Warriors. Just watching the Memphis game on Saturday, I was surprised how lackadaisical they were in that game, especially when they got their ass kicked by Memphis less than a week ago. And we brought it up before, but I'm just getting really sick of everyone just living in the past, and specifically Klay Thompson. Klay, I know has better trash talk than just repeating that he is a 4-time champion. It's getting old. It happened at the beginning of the season when Devin Booker called him out. It even happened at the end of last year when they won the championship. And for whatever reason, Klay, in that moment of winning his 4th championship, couldn't think of anything but Jaren Jackson and saying that he's trash or a clown, or whatever he called him.
Right.
And now fast forward to months later, and this is still a thing. This is still, well, we've got 4 championships. No one could talk shit to you. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. It is part of the game. They don't have to bow down to you. They don't have to respect the fact that you've won 4 championships. They're playing now. They're playing this game now. And you talk to anybody that's talked trash to Clay, whether it's Devin Booker or Dylan Brooks, they all give him his props. But also, they're not going to be scared of them. And everyone keeps bringing up that, Kobe Bryant did that. I forget to who, but he did the 5. He counted down 5 and flashed to somebody. Not the same when you keep bringing it up. I don't remember Kobe Bryant constantly saying in post-game interviews, well, I'm a 5-time champion. I don't have to take this shit from anybody. No. Clay, it's time to move on. When it's all said and done and you look back at your Wikipedia page or the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, they'll say you won 4 championships or more. But let's live in the now. I'm getting tired of this.
Yeah, but from his perspective, I can't imagine what it's like being a 4-time champion and having a guy like Dylan Brooks who hasn't won anything constantly talking to you and saying you suck, because it's like, hey, I got 4 rings to prove that no, I do not suck. I may suck tonight, but in the grand scheme of things, like the 4 championships are earned, and I know it's his only talking point, but I mean that might be all he needs. He doesn't really need anything else. Like, what's he going to do? Like, say, oh my, I mean, the team's not playing well on the road. Like, I get it. I get why you're saying that, and I get why that's the stance that a lot of people are taking. But I'm kind of just more on the side of I don't know what it's like to have 4 championships, and I'm sure that if I had 4 championships in my back pocket, I'd be showing off about that constantly too, especially if someone was talking as much as Dylan Brooks does.
The way that you were saying that reminds me of I never saw this movie, but the trailer for Bad Teacher. There's a scene
Yes.
where Jason Segel's talking to a young kid, and they're debating LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, and he goes, "Is your only argument that Kobe Bryant has more championships than LeBron James?" He screams to the kid, "That's the only argument I need, Sean."
Yeah. Yeah. So I get it, but I understand your perspective too. Like I don't feel too strongly about it. I don't care. Whatever. Clay, you do that. In the end, you lost. That's all that matters is you lost. And I don't know what it's like now. I don't know what the standards are looking like now because it's like they're changing every day. But they
Let's
were in
take a look.
seventh. They were in seventh with a 36-36 record prior to the tonight. So I don't know. Like you're in the playing game. Like that's it. But on the other end, I understand your point too, where it's just
There's 6 right now.
okay, gotcha. So I understand from your perspective though, like I'm tired of watching them do this because like that's clearly something that's used as like a crutch. You know what I mean? There's nothing like right now that you can talk like that you can use to back up whatever trash you're talking. So I get it from your perspective too, but I think I also get it from Clay's.
I mean, yeah, but also like there has to be a certain point where let's focus on now. Like it, it doesn't annoy you. Like it annoys me also because this isn't the Clay Thompson that I know. The Clay Thompson I know would just laugh this off and keep playing and act like it wasn't a big deal. Like he's letting things get to him now. I don't know why, and maybe because of the injuries and everything, but also like, come on, man, like you're so beneath this. Like, why do we have to entertain the Grizzlies and their trash talk? Like, I don't I just find it annoying, and also like the Warriors really have nothing to say because this is bad. Like they have not
Right.
looked like themselves. This road losing streak up until tonight has been terrible, absolutely
Right.
terrible.
Well, I also think though that the fourth championship, as opposed to the first three, I mean, the most one of the most famous memes of all time is when Clay's sitting there on the bench after they just won the championship and he just scored like 7 points on 1 of 5 shooting or whatever. All his points came at the free throw line. I don't remember what the stat line was, but it's like when you do your group project and you get an A, but you didn't do any work. Like that goes back to those 3 championship. I think with this fourth one, he felt that this is the one where he truly made the significant contribution, like as opposed to the previous ones where it was like all Steph, where it's all KD. We're there all the talk. Like Klay Thompson was barely even the talk in those finals matchups, if I'm not mistaken. Like from what I'm remembering, it was always the talk about Steph, KD, and LeBron. That was it, and then Andre Iguodala for the one finals. But I think this one, he truly feels like this is the championship where he deserves respect from his peers and the respect of, hey, I'm a 4-time champion, possibly a Hall of Famer. Like you gotta, you gotta treat me like one, but you're also losing, so it doesn't look too good. So I think that's where Clay's coming from. I think that's what changed over the course of the past couple of years. Because you're right, it's not the same Clay that we've seen, but I think he just feels a little more strongly about this other one.
And I feel like they were all trying to find some vindication this last championship. Like this last championship was the "I told you so" championship. This was Steph Curry. What else are they going to say now? Championship. But it also could be the last one. And I think that it doesn't, absolve you of another season. Like no one's gonna just write off and say like, well, the Warriors have won 4. Let's give them a break. And that's how I feel. Like I think a lot of Warriors fans have gotten greedy and they expect a championship every single season. And I don't expect one this season. I think that they seem like a play-in team to me this year, but they very well could be a 6 seed. But I don't see them beating the likes of the Nuggets or the Suns or the Mavericks or even the Grizzlies. I just don't see them having that fire anymore this season. We'll see about next season, and I think there's going to be some changes. But as a fan that has seen them be worse than this, the Chris Cohan days, where we believe was the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
I was a baby for Run TMC. I'm happy with what they've accomplished, but also I think as athletes, I know that they're not happy about this season too. But I don't know, just to acknowledge it all the time, to do the I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors need to be bigger than that.
Yeah, agreed. And it does get frustrating when it's just consistently every it does seem like Clay's kind of spearheading the whole championship talk. I mean, Draymond's there. Draymond does it, but Draymond has, he has his own podcast, so he has a lot to say. But he still hangs on to the 4. He still hangs on to the 4 rings idea.
Speaking of which, Matt Kolsky brought this up. I saw on Twitter. You see Colin Cowherd's comments on Michael Jordan?
Didn't he say that he'd be nothing without Pippen and Phil Jackson or something?
He was saying that he failed as a baseball player. He failed as an owner since he's selling the Hornets now, and that he was carried by Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen. I would love to hear Draymond's retort to that, but we're never going to get it because, Draymond calls out the new, this is the new media, calling out the old media, but he knows who, pays the bills around his podcast, so he's not going to call out Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, no, those comments are just ridiculous, and that's Cowherd doing what Cowherd does, which is just trying to get a reaction out of somebody. I didn't even pay any mind to that.
Speaking of paying no mind to something, Andrew Wiggins. So I am fully going to acknowledge the fact that his absence has been a detriment to the team on the court. They do need him. It's been glaring. They do need the defensive help. But also, I'm not going to be someone to pound the table to say he needs to come back because there's a situation going on. And I'm fully aware of the rumors that are out there about Andrew Wiggins. I'm not going to acknowledge them on this podcast because that would give some, validity to it. So if anybody that listens to this, if you want to go check it out for yourself. But I think we've gotten to the point now where things are getting a little ridiculous with that. I don't expect Andrew Wiggins to come back to this team at this point now. It's been well past the All-Star break. And I think they just need to prepare for the fact that he'll be back next season. But I do think that fans are, going to be fans sometimes. I understand that they're a little frustrated with him not playing, but also people are people, just like you and me, just like everybody. You got to give them space and you got to give them whatever they're going through. So I do think that Andrew Wiggins' absence has been a detriment to the team, but I also understand that he needs time away as well.
Well, we can't we can't just act like if he was on the team right now, and I don't know, we don't know what he's going through, and like you said, we're not going to mention that rumor that's going around, but I mean, clearly he does not feel like he's in the right headspace to play. Like if he did, he would. Like Andrew Wiggins is not. I'd be more. I'd be much more outraged, like with the response to it, or at least um to Wiggins' side of things, if this was like a common occurrence. But it's not. Like this is Wiggins. Like he is, he's always played. Like he was very like that was an underappreciated thing. It's it's like what Kevon Looney's doing right now in his second longest active streak in the NBA, like next to Mikal Bridges. Like the fact that these dudes are just available, and now Wiggins is not for a stretch of the season. It's no guarantee that you're getting that same Andrew Wiggins when he returns. Plus, like it's already been a tough enough season for him. Like he went out with injury, he missed 15 games or whatever it is. The first time I think he's done missed 15 games consecutively in his career. So I just I don't know. I'm not shocked that people are wanting answers because their team is reeling and after all these guys are getting paid, but like you're probably not getting the same Andrew Wiggins even if he does return. As a matter of fact, you'd probably be getting the Andrew Wiggins that people crap on in the first place, which is a Wiggins who is just there. Like you'd be getting the response after a few games. I bet you if he was back on the team and he was just playing through obligation, because I bet you like you'd just be getting the whole where was Wiggins out there? Wiggins was just invisible.
Yeah.
He scored 14 points and had 6 rebounds. Okay, but what did he really do? You'd be getting questions on that. I don't know. I don't think that even if you had him back, it'd make much of a difference.
You're probably right. I already know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway to you.
Yeah.
Do you think fans are deserving an explanation of why he's been gone?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they do. The only people who deserve an explanation as to why he's gone are the people who write the checks,
Yeah.
and that's the Golden State Warriors. And I'm sure they do know what's going on. I will say, like, this has not been. I will say that at least in terms of the contract too, like that new deal that he got does not kick in until next season. So I don't want to hear the Wiggins' contract was a waste of money or whatever. Giving him the deal was a mistake. Like, no, his contract does not kick in until next year. Like, he's still riding on that one deal that he had in Minnesota that they traded him for. So, no. Like, the only contract you can complain about is Jordan Poole. Like, that's one where, the first year of that extension, I don't think he's lived up to, the type of player that he can be. As a matter of fact, he's very much like Tyler Hero, which is what everyone was comparing him to, or who everyone was comparing him to. But going back to Wiggins, the contract thing, it's just all of it. I don't think it's any of our business. The only people whose business it is the teammates and the ownership.
I agree with you. I don't think as fans we need to know every single thing that goes on.
Yeah.
I don't like comparing it to like any other job in society. It is different. He is getting paid millions of dollars, but at the same time, fans don't need to know every little thing. I understand it's frustrating because he's a big time piece and there is no explanation of why he's not there, but it is what it is. I can't explain why he's gone, and if it's good enough reason for Steve Kerr and the rest of the players, it's good enough reason for me. Um, and like you said, Steven, I agree with you. If Andrew Wiggins is dealing with whatever he's dealing with, who's to say he comes back and plays at a high level? To be honest, before even all this went down, he wasn't playing great. So
Right.
I don't know.
He was still trying to get his feet back under him when he returned
Yeah.
from injury.
This could just be a huge championship hangover. And I know Draymond squashed that a couple weeks ago. It's bad. Like things are not like, and also that's okay because this is the first time in a while that they've kind of fallen back to reality, with the exception of the 15-win season a couple of seasons ago. Or they had the playing game, but they lost Clay that season. It could just be coming back down to reality that this is how it slowly starts to end for the Warriors. And it had to come at some point. But like I said before, I am happy. They won 4 championships prior to years of just shittiness. So I am completely happy with what has gone on.
This is definitely not the type of hangover which is just, hey, wake up, you have a little bit of a headache, and then you go get some in and out, get some grease in you, soak up with the remaining alcohol, then you'll be okay, during the middle of the day. No, this is the type of hangover that's lasting for multiple days.
It's a
Like
coffee and
one
mayonnaise hangover.
coffee and mayonnaise. Like it's one where you go out on Saturday, then you're in all day Sunday. You do not feel the same on Monday, and on Tuesday you're feeling something's off, but you can't really quite put a finger on it. No, well, it's back to what you were doing on Saturday. Like that's the type of hangover the Warriors are feeling right now. It's not exactly just the quick fix. There's a long term hangover effect here.
When's the last time you had like an all day like Saturday or Sunday hangover?
Oh, I think you can guess which day that was.
Yesterday?
No, no, that was the day after we met at the for the divisional round.
Oh, serious? Oh yeah, you drank quite a bit that night.
Yeah, yeah. So so that was something. But but
A
before that
good old
though,
DoorDash day.
but straight up before that, I can't remember the last time I'd felt like that the next morning. Actually, that wasn't one of those hangovers though. The only time I've experienced like one of these hangovers that the Warriors are experiencing right now was New Year's. Was it New Year's Eve? Yeah, New Year's Eve in 2017, I think. New Year's 2017, 2018, when I was in England and I was with my cousins and I had a lot to drink with no food.
Ooh,
Um,
you got loaded.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My uncle was like feeding me bread. He's like, oi, oi, got your toast ready. It's like 6:30 in the evening. I haven't even got out of bed. Oh, brutal. So
Ooh,
that's the type of this is
been there.
that's the only relative hangover I can equate to this Warriors season right now.
Trying to remember the last time I felt that way. Uh, God, it's been a minute.
It's not good. I'm very glad I don't like search for that like I did when I was in my early 20s, like at the end of college, where it's just I don't even care. Whatever, worth it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
thinking
I don't.
now,
I
I'm
don't.
oh,
I don't. I must be getting old because I just don't like that feeling anymore. Like I
no.
would. I rather just you know now I usually go with smoking before drinking now.
Mm,
Like I just hate the feeling of feeling uh hungover the next day. Just a terrible
yeah,
feeling.
just done. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm sure this coffee and mayonnaise is gonna do me in the tomorrow. Ugh.
You'll be
No,
fine.
it was a small little macchiato size, so everything will be good.
Mm,
Should we get to a little fuckery?
yeah.
All right. So I gotta be honest, Steven,
Hmm.
and it may just be because of last year with everything. This has kind of been a so-so free agency frenzy fuckery, whatever you want to call it, this year because like I said, I think it's a lot of crazy trades that happened a year ago, and I think a lot of teams are hesitant to do that this season. The only ones that really stood out to me were like Stephon Gilmore going to the Cowboys, but even that's not that crazy. Got some movement this weekend. Brandon Cooks got traded to the Cowboys from the Texans for a fifth and a sixth. Um, we're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers to get traded to the Jets. That's becoming a little too ridiculous for me. Um, like we're coming up on a week since he did that interview with Pat McAfee, and they're saying this thing could be holding out until the draft, which is just ridiculous. Ugh. I cannot believe that they let him go talk to the Jets and did not come up with compensation. And now it's becoming, well, I want a first round pick. Well, he's not worth a first round pick. This is ridiculous. Um, yeah, I think we're all kind of held, hostage by the whole Aaron Rodgers situation because I think a lot of players are waiting to see what happens with that if that's official, and then they go play with him.
I think that was the peak. I think that was the peak of this offseason was Aaron Rodgers making that decision because since then it's all gone downhill. And really
Yeah,
what the most and why teams I think as you mentioned are kind of afraid to trade like they were for last year. Um I mean, look at what happened with
yeah,
the teams which executed those big trades. I think like the Broncos, Dolphins, Raiders all included in that. Now, of course, the Dolphins had. It's not like the trade didn't work out for the Dolphins nor for the Raiders. There were other factors at play, but still, the teams that were expected to be in the championship all were, and the most impactful moves of this free agency, it might be Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, but another might just be Orlando Brown for the Bengals, going to the Bengals in the AFC, and then in the NFC, Javon Hargrave going to the 49ers and that defensive line becoming unstoppable. Like these flashy moves, it's not what makes or breaks a teams, but from a fan perspective, it has been relatively uneventful. Yes, especially when in the description of our last podcast, it was Brandon Cooks chooses Cowboys over, or the Cowboys choose Brandon Cooks over Odell and DeAndre Hopkins. It's like, yeah, that's it. That's what's happening this free agency.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, because while it has been kind of a dud, there still is some ramifications with that. So, yes, the Cowboys do choose Brandon Cooks. They trade him for a 5th and a 6th. And there were rumors this whole time that the Cowboys were interested in Odell Beckham and DeAndre Hopkins. And it looks like they're going to get neither now. And they settle on Brandon Cooks, who's a good player, younger than both those guys.
Yeah.
I believe so. I think Brandon Cooks is younger than Odell. And he's a good complement receiver to CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, who I'm assuming they're going to keep. But, yeah, that means that the Cowboys are not willing to trade for DeAndre Hopkins, and it sounds like the rumor with that is that the Cardinals want a 2nd-round pick plus something of value, whether it's a draft pick or a player. And then Odell, there's differing reports by him even where he says he doesn't want $20 million, but he doesn't want $4 million. So the way that I took, looking at the trade that happened yesterday on a Sunday, I would say that the more and more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that it sounds like Odell is going to have to sign like a 1-year prove-it deal. And I think the best place for him to do that, and until this trade gets finalized with the Jets and the Packers, I can very well see Odell going to the Jets and playing with Rodgers and just going back to MetLife and doing the New York thing and playing with that great receiving core of Garrett Wilson and Allen Lazard, and maybe even keeping Elijah Moore, and him being put in that and having to ball out and then getting the big-time contract.
Right. They need that. If Odell goes to the I'm struggling understanding what Odell's going to bring. Like, is he going to really look like the same Odell?
Well, that's probably the hesitancy with a lot of teams that don't want to pay him what he's asking for, because I've seen his tweets and he's saying, I bring a lot more than just on the field. I bring in ticket sales and jersey sales. Yeah, but GMs don't care about that. I mean, they do when you bring it in, but as far as paying you for that, you got to prove it first.
Right. Yacht picks. He brings yacht picks into the equation.
The yacht picks?
Yeah, picks on a yacht. Pictures on a yacht
back
with
in
all
the
his
day.
Teammates.
Yeah, I remember that.
That one, everyone got all up in arms about that. I don't know if I'm even more frustrated with, not frustrated, just annoyed with players like Odell who just put out these workout videos when it's not like teams are clamoring to sign him. And for example, Cam Newton, what I'm seeing earlier today, him throwing at the Auburn Pro Day, he says, "No way in hell there's 32 quarterbacks that are better than me." Actually, I think there are.
Yeah,
I think there are 32 quarterbacks that are better than you, because the last time you went out with the Patriots and you said, "I'm back," no, you were not back when you made that move rushing in for a touchdown. You were back when you were throwing an interception and turning the ball over in crunch time. That's when he was officially back. I think I'm more annoyed with those types of players now, more than Aaron Rodgers, holding everyone hostage with what he's going to do next. At least we know he's going to play and what he's going to contribute. I don't know with Odell Beckham.
You know what I'd rather see Cam Newton do? I'd rather see him make his own dinner or do his own laundry. Just things that he probably thinks are beneath him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Things that he thinks should be left to other people.
Exactly. Some other fuckery notes. So there's a lot of rumors going around with DeAndre Hopkins too. I guess going to the Patriots or the Chiefs. I keep getting prepared that he's going to be a Kansas City Chiefs. A Kansas City Chief. I can definitely see some kind of scenario where Andy Reid sends like a 4th-round pick plus Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the Cardinals, and then they get DeAndre Hopkins. That would be a really big move. There's also rumors that the Chiefs were in on trying to get Laramie Tunsil, but in the end, Laramie Tunsil signs the biggest contract to become the most paid left tackle in all of football, so he's going to stay. I'm anticipating to see DeAndre Hopkins become a Chief, just because I don't think that. I mean, everyone keeps showing that video of DeAndre Hopkins talking to Bill Belichick, but also, I don't think DeAndre Hopkins wants to play with Bill O'Brien again. It's pretty clear he hates the guy, and I don't think that he could get past that. And I don't think he wants to play with Mac Jones. Maybe he does. Who knows? I think that the Chiefs are the more appealing team, in my opinion.
Yeah, they are. There's one other appealing thing, Derek, that other than everything you just mentioned. Yeah, you know, the probably the best quarterback that we have seen in this generation. The only guy that you can even think would be close to, you know, the next great. And maybe DeAndre Hopkins is thinking he could have like a Randy Moss type of resurgence. I don't know, with Mahomes, like Moss did with Brady in the Patriots. And I'm sorry. And whenever you bring up Laramie Tunsil,
gas mask.
I can't believe it. We're here now. You know, if you would have told me the one time, I remember sitting in my car on the way to Bart, I was listening to your dad, and he could not get over the gas mask. I want to know more about this gas mask. Like, who's this guy with the gas mask? I want this guy. You know, like I'll never forget that. That was the highest paid at his position. What a time! What a world!
That was the Carl Joseph draft.
That was the Carl Joseph draft. Yep.
I remember that well because that was the last draft show that my dad and Lund did when they were 95.7 The Game together. We went to the Raiders facility. It was Greg, Lund, and Joe Fortenbaugh. And Fortenbaugh was basically there to give us updates on the gas mask. And we were all huddled in the small little room at the Raiders facility. They had to wheel in a TV for us to watch the draft. And every like 5 minutes, Fortenbaugh would just be like, "So, Greg, you want an update on the gas mask?" And he was like, "Oh, give it to me, Joe."
Yeah. We gotta bring him back on to talk about that because that's so funny. If we bring him on, like
he was fascinated with that. That was the most lively thing of the whole night because we were waiting. When did Carl Joseph get drafted? Like in the that was it the 2016 season or the 2017 season?
It was the 2017. It was a 2017 draft because it was right after they had a good season. I think he was like drafted with the 17th pick. I think.
Yeah.
I might be wrong with that one.
Or 18, because they were a wild card team the year before. So we were just waiting around for that pick to happen. And yeah, God. The
14th. He was 14th pick.
Oh, he was 14th. Okay. Yeah. So that hours went by, and that was the highlight of the night was Laramie Tunsil with his gas mask updates.
Can I also give you one of my highlights of free agency?
Sure.
You know the saying that is used all the time where it's he bet on himself and it paid off. It's like he rejects this contract here. You hear it in baseball all the time.
Yeah.
He bet on himself and it paid off.
Not the case.
Did you see what happened with that with Dalton Schultz, the tight end?
Yep.
I need to pull this up. I need to pull up the exact numbers, but basically he was offered 30+ million, right, to sign, and then he rejected it and said, "You know what? I'm going to search elsewhere."
Now, was this with the Cowboys or with another team?
Well, this was with the Cowboys originally, I believe.
Okay.
It was
because I know the Chargers were interested in him because of Kellen Moore.
It was originally a 3-year, $36 million deal.
From the Cowboys?
Yes, and he declined it to search elsewhere and signed with the Texans for just $9 million.
Yeah.
So he's making a quarter of what he's making. And it's just, we always hear those. And I don't mean to laugh at the guy. I mean, oh, well, you know, cry me a river. You're making $9 million instead of whatever it would be, 13 million a year or whatever. I'm getting the numbers wrong. 12 million a year. Cry me a river, whatever. But like the fact that it's just a situation where he bet on himself and it did not pay off.
Well,
Like,
he's not the only guy. CJ Gardner-Johnson supposedly was offered a multi-year deal with the Eagles. Thought it was disrespectful. Then tried to search around the league and didn't get much from the Broncos or any other people that were interested in him, maybe the Bengals. And then last night signs a 1-year prove-it deal for $8 million. It's close to being fully guaranteed. I think it's like $6 million guaranteed. But he goes to the Detroit Lions. And I think that's a huge move for the Lions. I think the Lions were going to be good regardless of this move. And now I think that they're probably, on paper, the best team in the NFC North, considering everything with Aaron Rodgers, with the Packers, and the Bears going through a rebuild and whatnot. Vikings losing a lot of guys. Adam Thielen just got cut, and he just got picked up by the Carolina Panthers yesterday. I think adding C.J. Gardner-Johnson is huge for the Lions because they added Emmanuel Mosley and Courtland Sutton, and now that defensive backfield looks 10 times better than it was a year ago. Plus, they got young guys like Jeff Okudah and this other guy on the team. His name is escaping me, who got a lot of interceptions a year ago or a couple years ago. But Lions look good, but yeah, a lot of people are kind of surprised by C.J. Gardner-Johnson not getting a lot of attention in free agency. And I was reading up on it. Apparently, he's kind of a loose cannon and can't be, I guess, trusted. Like, I was watching an interview last night with Roman Harper talking about him to Steve Smith, and he was saying, like, some guys get money and they go crazy, and I think a lot of teams are kind of avoiding that, which isn't fair, I would say. But also, like, I don't know. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got a little crazy with the Twitter fingers, I would say, calling out his old defensive coordinator. And
yeah.
So maybe that's a reason why he didn't come back to Philadelphia. But then again, Jonathan Gannon left and went to the Arizona Cardinals. But I think it's a good move for Detroit, but also kind of puzzling that he didn't get the big-time contract that I thought he deserved.
Yeah, kind of a loose cannon, but you're right. The Lions are going to be stacked defensively next year. And like they're building things the right way, man. They're out of the teams through free agency, it's the Lions and the Panthers that I'm most interested to see, because the Panthers made some pretty nice. I'm not saying the Panthers are going to be, automatic winners of the NFC South, but you never know. You never if they depending what they do in this draft. And I mean, I like the addition of Adam Thielen. I think they could be pretty good this year.
They could be. I think the NFC South is kind of up in the air with all the turnover. I think right now probably Derek Carr going to the Saints is that big of a deal, where I think that they're probably the favorites right now. But you never know. I mean, they also got Jamal Williams to back up Alvin Kamara, and we don't know what's going on with his legal situation. They're keeping Michael Thomas. Everything looks good on paper for them. Cam Jordan's coming back, so we'll see. There's also a lot of moves to be made. We've still got a draft, and this is where things kind of get, through the lulls of free agency. Like every now and then we'll get a pop-up notification of this guy signed and this guy got traded. So still waiting on DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see if that moves gets done in the next couple of days here. We'll wait on Aaron Rodgers. Real quick on something that happened today, though. You said Dalton Schultz. He goes to the Texans. Also, the Texans pick up former Bills running back Devin Singletary, so he'll be matched up with Dameon Pierce. And then I was kind of disappointed with this one because we've been talking about Derrick Henry possibly getting traded, maybe going to the Bills. The more that it doesn't have, the more time goes on, the more I don't think it's going to happen. That maybe they just go into the season with Derrick Henry, and then at the trade deadline, if the Titans aren't doing well, they may trade him then. But it doesn't look like the Bills are going to trade for Derrick Henry. That was a rumor. There was also a rumor about Ezekiel Elliott. Doesn't look like that's going to happen either. They settle on Damian Harris. They signed him today. Former running back with the Patriots. He's a fine running back. He'll help them between the tackles and on the goal line, but I thought they could have done a little bit better there. I know that Derrick Henry will cost them, a draft pick. It's a little splashier, but all in all, it may hurt them in the long run. I thought Zeke may have been a better option there, but Damian Harris is a solid running back. It's just not the sexier of all the three options, I would say.
Well, in the words of Peter Griffin from Family Guy, I have James Cook. So James Cook is the guy next year. That's it. You had him as your breakout player last year, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So maybe they're just sticking with him. I know it's not the most glorious look to their running back room, which is what needs the most improvement. And Damian Harris he's okay, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about Damian Harris. Like the player I know, the running back I know most about on the Patriots is Ramondre Stevenson, who I love. But outside of that, yeah, heading into the AFC East with James Cook as your number one guy, probably. I don't know if that's going to work out, but they have James Cook.
Nicely done with going from James Woods to James Cook.
Thank you. I'm really proud of that one. Really proud. You don't need to add the S on the end.
You don't. But yeah, and that's everything going on with the fuckery right now. So we'll wait to see if anything starts developing there. But it's a little slower than last year and a little less satisfying, I would say. But it is what it is. And you're right, Steven. A lot of the teams that made the fuck them picks moves a season ago are paying for it this year. Broncos barely have anything, although I keep hearing they want to trade Jerry Jeudy for another great wide receiver. Rams are going through a lot of salary cap hell. So yeah, a lot of teams that went all in last season are kind of being tentative this season. But with the exception of the Miami Dolphins, I think they're still just going all out. Picking up Jalen Ramsey was a big move. Also, I forgot to mention that O.J. Howard, that's the replacement for Darren Waller. O.J. Howard. We'll see about that.
Yeah, well, I liked O.J. Howard coming out of Alabama. I don't know if it's going to be. I tried talking myself into it. Like, how old is he? He's 28 years old, and that's when Darren Waller kind of just established himself in the NFL. So it's not impossible to do that at 28, but it's you can't just straight up say, oh yeah, that's the replacement that they need, and they're going to build him into a top 5 tight end in the league. Like, that's not going to happen.
They're also looking at Austin Hooper, who I guess is going with a visit with the Raiders. So it's not terrible. O.J. Howard and Austin Hooper as your 2 tight end set. Like, I guess they're saying goodbye to Foster Moreau.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it sounds like Josh McDaniels wants tight ends that can block and catch. So I get it. Also, did you hear about Michael Lombardi, what he said about Darren Waller and Josh McDaniels? Apparently, there was some situation a year ago where Darren Waller just left during the bye week. It didn't say where he was going, and it just rubbed McDaniels the wrong way. Like they couldn't get a hold of him or whatever.
So it's one of those, huh?
Yeah. Not the end of the world either.
No, well, that's what it's turning into with the Raiders, though. It's just McDaniels is getting his guys, the ones who he knows are going to be loyal. So that's obviously what played a factor into it too.
Yeah. Also, Matt Collins not coming back. He signs with the Atlanta Falcons. So good spot for him. Probably be the number 2 or number 3 behind Brian Edwards and Drake London. So
yeah, I'm surprised Hunter Renfrow hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I think that maybe McDaniels is still holding out hope that he could be his Wes Welker or Julian Edelman. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm hoping. Because there is potential there. But yeah, we shall see. World Baseball Classic. So we know Japan just won in a thrilling game against Mexico. So they'll play USA tomorrow night. And Trey Turner, good God. Good 2-game stretch there. What was it, 3 home runs at 2 games?
Yep, 3 home runs in a span of 24 hours.
Yeah. And they played great. They won, I think, 14-2 last night over Cuba. So yeah, we get a good championship tomorrow between USA and Japan. And yeah, what have you been thinking about this World Baseball Classic so far, Steven?
Oh, I love the World Baseball Classic.
I'm glad you like it.
I'm glad I do. No, it's to me, it's what baseball is all about, which is it's fun. There's a lot of action. The pitching is nowhere near the level as to that in Major League Baseball, which I don't think we give nearly enough credit to when we're talking about the 3 true outcomes. Like, I know that, getting rid of the shift is going to increase the amount of base hits. But I don't know if getting rid of the shift is necessarily going to put, like, for example, the league batting average it was the lowest it's been since like the 1800s or something like that last year. It was really bad. I don't think the shift is going to put them in the in the tier of teams that, or the tier of seasons in which the batting average was at its highest. I do think it's going to improve a little bit, but what we don't pay attention to is the fact that these pitchers are as good as they've ever been with the speed that they throw and their off speed and the movement and all of that. The pitch clock can maybe, make a difference too, but they don't have that in the World Baseball Classic. Like, all that stuff is out of the window, and these pitchers aren't nearly as good. So in return, you're getting a lot more action from the batter's box. I mean, would you really think that the guy who would start in your final game is Merrill Kelly? Like, Merrill Kelly's a good pitcher, but not like, hey, I'm going to pitch in the final game for Team USA type of pitcher. Like, that's going to be the guy I go with. Like, no. So I think that played something into it. It's just been a lot of fun, man. All the action. Like, Arozarena earlier, he robbed a home run and he like stood in left field and just stood there and stared. He didn't even throw the ball in. He just stood and stared. And in the middle of it, in the middle of the inning, in between outs, he's signing autographs and to everybody. I don't know, man. It's just a lot of fun. And that's what baseball can be.
It has been fun. I do wonder about the players that are going to be playing in, the MLB a week from now, and they have to go to the new rules, and WBC does not do the old rules, so they may be a little behind there. I do wonder about the injuries, though, going forward. Edwin Diaz is out for the season. Jose Altuve will miss the start of the season. What was his injury?
Broken wrist.
Yeah, broken wrist. So,
or broken hand, rather. Left broken hand. He has to do surgery on it. Yep.
The likes of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani will play tomorrow, but I wonder about the future. I wonder if they will opt out of this thing going forward because of the risk.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe some players will, but I think that what you're seeing with a player like Mike Trout, for example, he seems to be, and maybe going back to Jesse's joke earlier, which is fantastic. Finally, Ohtani or Trout can win a championship. Like, they're playing in some actual meaningful games. I think that stars would relish playing in this sort of thing, and it all depends. You do need another situation like it was this year, where Trout is like basically recruiting all these guys and saying, "Hey, come join this team with me," blah blah blah, which they did, and that's why they have the lineup that they have. I don't think the injuries are gonna. I don't think they're gonna stop them from doing it. The Edwin Diaz thing, freak injury, like. If they're scared of injuries by playing in a game, then they might as well just not even participate in spring training. If that's what it comes down to, I think the pride of playing for your country, I think it usurps any fear of possibly getting injured. I'm sure some are. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no players are ever going to sit, or no players are ever going to just sit out of the World Baseball Classic because they're scared of getting injured. No, I'm not going to say that, but I do think, especially with what's going to happen in the final tomorrow night, I think a lot of players are going to be motivated and say, damn, I should have played for Team USA.
Probably right, Steven. You're probably right.
Maybe. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, you could be wrong, too. That's why we do this.
It's just my opinion, man.
It's just your opinion, man. And a lot of people's opinions were put on their brackets for March Madness. And a lot of them are already busted. A lot of people picked Arizona to win. Yikes. As they got bounced in the first round to a 15-seed Princeton team. And how about, is it Farley Dickinson? Fairly? Number 16. Beating a number 1 in Purdue. Told you about Zach Edey. That guy is overrated. I thought that whole Purdue team was overrated. But to lose to Fairleigh Dickinson, whoo!
That was so funny. Like, I didn't even watch the game. I didn't watch that first round game.
It was very exciting.
I thought it was going to be over. I didn't know who Fairleigh Dickinson was. I thought Purdue were a shoo-in to make it to the Sweet 16, but I also don't watch college basketball like that, so that was just a total guess on my part. And watching the highlights back from that, watching Zach Edey run the floor along with Fairleigh Dickinson, who are a fairly small team. It's like watching what was his name in NBA Street? Tekashi. I think it was like watching Tekashi go up against a team full of bona fides. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was Bonafide was the small Bonafides and Drakes. You have Bonafides, a good smaller guys that can handle the rock, and then you got Drake who has the sweat. Stop! This isn't Willard and Dibs, Zerdy. Stop grading my jokes. I don't like my jokes being graded. Thank you. So, Takashi in a court full of Bonafides. That's what I was watching on in the highlights there. But Fairleigh Dickinson, man.
Yeah. No,
they're going to be the team I remember.
No, I mean they're who was their coach? Their coach with like a Babe Ruth like prediction. Before they play Purdue, Tobin Anderson. This guy goes out and in the locker room before they play Purdue, days before, says, the more I watch this team, Purdue, the more I think we could beat them. Hell of a line. They go out and do it, and they got knocked out by Florida Atlantic, and that was a fun game. I think it was yesterday. Florida Atlantic and Fairleigh Dickinson. Fairleigh. Yeah, that was a fun game too. Florida Atlantic, advancing. There's a lot of great games that happened this weekend. A lot of brackets busted, but fuck your brackets. It was fun. It was just a fun time watching. Arizona losing to Princeton. Princeton playing absolutely terrible. Just, were they 4 of 25 from 3 and did nothing deserve to win that game against Arizona. Arizona just crapped the bed there. And then they go on to beat Missouri. It was hilarious. We had so every year Tom Tolbert takes off Thursday and Friday of the tournament to go watch with his buddies or go to Vegas. This year he decided to stay and go golfing and watch the games from his house. We actually had the Arizona head coach on, Tommy Lloyd, come on. And he said, so, they're playing up in Sacramento. And he goes, hey, Tom, you going to watch us in Sacramento? You're only, a couple hours away. And Tom goes, no, just going to, stay home, golf. He goes, wow. Okay. And I'm sure Tom was happy he did not go because, good Lord, that is one of the worst losses in school history. And we had Dieter Kurtenbach filling in those 2 days. And Dieter was making fun of Arizona the whole time. And he's like, I'm going to go to Sac to watch my Mizzou Tigers play Princeton. And sure enough, that must have sucked for Dieter. So, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. But, hey, good on Princeton, man. Princeton doing the thing. One of their players trying to recreate Kevin Garnett with the anything is possible quote. It's been fun to watch. Fordham, or Furman, not Fordham. Furman beating, who they beat? Virginia.
Yeah.
On a nice, steal pass and 3. That was fun to watch.
That was like the highlight of the tournament. So that's just a buzzer beater 3. Virginia, I don't think they've advanced past. Have they advanced past the first round? Since they win the championship, I'm pretty sure they haven't. Pretty sure they've been knocked. I think they've been knocked out in the first round. If I was looking back on it correctly, because I remember them losing to the UMBC Golden Retrievers, the 16-1 seed. That was the first time it ever happened.
Yep.
I remember watching that. I was at a Whole Foods tap room watching that, and
in San Jose.
And then now Furman beats them with the buzzer, and Kevin Harlan, Stan Van Gundy, all-time call on that too.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I would say that was the highlight until Saturday. Old Warriors coach Eric Musselman doing his thing.
Oh yeah,
beating number 1 Kansas, who are the defending champs, and doing his thing, taking his shirt off, and gotta love Muss, man. He's crazy. I remember him from the Warriors days. We're not great teams, but he's been successful. Going to Nevada and now with Arkansas. So that probably was the highlight of him ripping his shirt off and acting like one of the kids in the crowd.
He needs to change his name to Muscleman instead of muscle, like the muscle from the ocean. He needs to check because that dude's ripped. He's looking good for his age.
Yeah, he's just nice and skinny. Wouldn't say ripped.
Nah, he's ripped. He's ripped for his age.
Maybe I need to take a closer look.
Then I stared at that picture for hours.
And then Tom Izzo breaking his board and beating Marquette. And then a lot of guys cursing in post-game interviews. You see that one guy from Florida Atlantic talked to Jamie. I should know this.
Erdahl.
Yeah, because she hosts Good Morning Football, and then he drops a shit, and she just goes, hey, we're on True TV. Almost like she wasn't implying this, but it's almost like, hey, no one's watching this channel.
Well, she's also, it's cool, man. It's
Yeah.
cool. She uses a man at the end. It's kind of like the Key and Peele sketch brought to like sideline reporting, where it's like, "Thank you, coach. Thank you so much for your time." Then she goes to the
Yeah.
player, and then she's like, "How you feel about the win, man? You
Yeah.
good, man? What's up, man?" She's actually she's been really good. I didn't even know she did sideline reporting.
Oh yeah, that was her thing before Good Morning Football. So
yeah.
she's been all over the place. Good on her doing that while she's got to host a show in New York City. And who's it? Drew Timmy from Gonzaga, just dropping a fuck and just like not giving a fuck too. Just going through with the question too. I mean, with the answer as well.
Spoken like a true third year senior. I don't know how many. It feels like he's like it feels like he's watching Chris Farley and Tommy Boy. It's like after 7 years, this dude's still at Gonzaga.
It almost looks like Chris Farley and you ever seen the old ESPN commercial where he's Christian Laettner?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. I want to say it's like an SB commercial. It's Chris Farley dressed in a Duke uniform going, "I'm Christian Laettner," and it's him just like bodying like just paper cutouts of other athletes, but get out of my way, and him just slam dunking on people. So yeah, the tournament's been fun. It's been a fun tourney so far. But yes, my bracket looks terrible right now. I had Arizona and Texas in the championship, and that's not happening. But
Yeah,
Texas played well.
Yeah, Texas is fine, but and yeah, I know a lot of people go to college for 7 years. It's just a joke.
Chris Farley line from Tommy Boy.
Yeah. I beat the Chico State average. I graduated in 4.5. So there you
go. Ooh, good on you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Division II. But yeah, I think but going back to Fairleigh Dickinson though, that's the team I'm gonna remember from this tournament. I don't think I'm gonna remember like it's always the little 16, the little plucky 16 seed that you always remember if they even make it through. I'll never forget the UMBC Golden Retrievers.
Yep.
Last year, I'm never gonna forget that guy with the mustache who kind of looked like Sam Rockwell. And then we got Fairleigh Dickinson. We had the story. I'm good with March Madness the rest of the way, but like it's going to be a good Sweet 16, that's for sure.
I always go back to George Mason. I want to say George Mason made it to the Final Four. That was always one I remembered back in my high school days. I think it was 2007. Little George Mason just powering through. I want to say they made a Final Four. I could be wrong, but they were the Cinderella team.
Yeah. Yep. And Furman, South Carolina's most oldest private institution. It's crazy.
Yeah. A little pop culture catch up.
Little pop culture catch up. I could do that because I got something for you right now.
The little ticker.
Oh wait, hang on. I need to play music, don't I?
No, not for pop culture catch up.
Yeah, all right, fine. I do need to tick her up. Sorry.
Hey, there you go.
Sorry.
The only segment we have planned.
So I'm still kind of confused as to how this is true, but we brought up a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Oscars and Steven Spielberg. What's your favorite?
I know exactly what you're going to bring up.
Yeah. So this dude, Frank Abagnale, whatever his name is, lied about his lifetime of lies.
Abagnale.
I'm very confused by the whole thing.
So we talked about it today on the show. I am a big fan of Catch Me If You Can. I think it's a great story, and I think it's a fun movie. Probably my favorite Spielberg movie. That's not like a big epic film. And if you've seen Catch Me If You Can, I don't know how you couldn't see it. It's on TNT every weekend. But apparently, the whole movie is fiction. None of this actually happened. With the exception of he did do a couple of attempts to, fake things, but the facts are that he spent most of his time in jail and could not actually do the things that are said to be in the book and in the movie. So this is a clean kick to the nuts for me because I love this movie, and you know, obviously you change things for Hollywood. There's a lot of things that are like favorite, like one of my favorite movies. A lot of are based on true stories. But to find out that most of this movie is not true is kind of like disappointing, but also kind of goes with the flow of who Frank Abagnale was because he was a con man.
It's the long con. I love this.
Oh, do you now?
They need to make a movie about this.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. We need the sequel where he totally cons Steven Spielberg.
Catch Me If You Can too. They didn't. Like he completely lied about everything. I'm fascinated by that whole. I don't get how he can get away with so much. But the fact is, when I saw that headline, I was like, "Oh my god, what? How do you lie about his lies? That's crazy."
Yeah, it's a little too much. Like this movie is 20 years old now, and the fact that we like how do we not know this? Like you could just make a movie up about yourself that nothing happened. Like it's ridiculous.
Right. Yep. I love that. Also, pop culture catch up. Finished The Last of Us. Amazing.
So let's talk about that real quick.
Loved it.
Spoilers, just in case, people. But also, it's a video game, so if you're listening to this or if you're watching this now and you haven't seen the ending, turn it off. Okay. Do you agree with Joel where he's coming around to Ellie? It's been a 20-year thing of getting over his daughter. He's finally found someone who could take her spot, and then they're going to do a experimental procedure to hopefully get a vaccine to help everybody with, stop turning into zombies with the cordyceps. And they want to operate on her brain that would kill her. And Joel is against that. He'd rather live in a world where he has a daughter or a companion than be alone with everybody else in the world getting, the vaccine and going on with their lives. So he goes on then to kill everybody, shoots up the hospital, shoots up the fireflies that are helping, do the procedure. He kills the doctor. He kills the leader of the fireflies and keeps it all from Ellie just for his own happiness. Do you agree with him?
Not necessarily, but I think that's what makes it that's what makes the ending so great. Is I don't know who to agree with because I don't know with the vaccine. What I do think would be funny is in season 2 of The Last of Us, Joe Rogan does a podcast and he does like 100 episodes about why about why he's in the right. But I came away from that and I was like, that was so badass. The scene in the building was just unreal. That entire thing. Like the last time I was caught with my mouth wide open, like watching that scene was when I was watching Daredevil for the first time, the Netflix series, not the movie.
Oh.
And
I was really hoping for you had your jaw drop for Michael Clarke Duncan as Kingpin.
I did not, but dude, when at the end though, when he just made up everything, and I was like, what? And so I really don't know. I don't know who
he's like Frank Abagnale.
Of course he is, and of course I think that his character is amazing. So I'm going to side with his character, though in a real life perspective, because it does mirror, kind of what's going on in society as of now. I'd probably be more on the Firefly side of things, but like the fact that he's such a oddly likable character, I'm on Joel's side all the way with The Last of Us.
I agree also because what kind of world would we have anyway at that point? They've been in this zombie apocalypse for 20 years. He's going to be alone regardless. Yeah, it's selfish. Of course it's selfish, but that's all he's got.
Yeah.
And also, it's not to sound like Joe Rogan, but it's not 100% sure that would be the cure.
Exactly. They need to find like a horse tranquilizer or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Horse medicine.
I watched the first episode of Ted Lasso.
Oh, yes.
This is what I was afraid of with the show, is that it goes on for too long and it starts to get less funny. And it may just be the first episode. I didn't laugh once. I thought it was, I'd enjoy it. And
It does feel like it's trying very hard to be Ted Lasso. You know what I mean? Like
well, it
it's
is Ted Lasso.
I know, but like it's really trying like to like fall into the classic Ted Lasso tropes. I don't know. There's nothing. It doesn't. I don't know. I need to give the season a little more time, but it's just
I
it
mean,
feels
too.
too forced.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. And good on them. I saw them all. We're at the White House today, the cast of Ted Lasso, talking about mental health. So, you know, good for them. But as far as the show, I'm gonna keep watching for now. But it's just gotten progressively worse as
Mm.
the seasons have gone on, in my opinion.
Dude, so I watched a couple of movies over the weekend for Jesse's birthday. Um, one called About Time. You ever seen that?
Yes, with Rachel.
Rachel McAdams and Domhnall
Yes,
Gleeson
I'm
and
aware of it. It's where he can go back in time.
yes. So we watched
Little
that one.
little rom com.
But it's a nice little rom com, but also it's very psychological. I think it's a very interesting movie.
Okay.
Um and then towards the end it kind of gets depressing. And then Jesse chooses one last night called Never Let Me Go. You ever heard that one?
Yeah, but I don't. It's not coming to me.
Oh my goodness.
I know the name.
So it's Andrew Garfield, Carey Mulligan, and Keira Knightley. And basically, they live in this alternate history where basically they say at the beginning of the movie that
Keira
they're
Knightley.
they have they found a way for life expectancy to extend past like at least 100 years.
Okay.
And the reason being is because they have some of these kids grow up kind of to be basically raised for slaughter. They basically have to have their organs donated by the time they turn a certain age, and it is just. I mean, it was. I need to watch something happy with something. I don't know what we need to watch. It's hard to come back from that watching two straight movies like
Oof.
that. It's just
Were they
like
good?
oh, I thought they were good. Yeah,
Okay.
no problem with that. I don't regret
Just
watching them.
just heavy.
Just very heavy.
Yeah.
Not Jesse's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to tell you what it is? It's probably not what you expect." And I'm like, I'm good. I was expecting, some quirky little, hey, let's watch like a little Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson. This is gonna be so funny. There's gonna be a couple of jokes in here, like how to lose a guy in 10 days. Nope. Nope.
Well, at least they were good, Steven.
Thanks, Derek.
How to Lose a Guy
Appreciate
in
it.
10 Days, I'm not sure is it's a good film.
Well, that's a fun little movie.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure you've
Come
seen it
on,
quite a
dude.
lot.
Don't you get
What's
don't
the
you
other? Oh, go ahead.
don't you get anxiety when during that scene at
I've
the
never actually seen it.
oh, there's a scene where they're at the Knicks game and she's basically trying to lose Matthew McConaughey in 10 days, and one of the ways she does it is she tries to ask him to go get her food right at the end of the fourth quarter, and then he misses a buzzer beater. I get anxiety every time I watch it because I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, good on him for not, breaking up with her.
Yeah, on the spot.
What's
Anyway,
there's another one they were in together. It was like a tropical one, I want to say.
I've never seen it.
Like
Failure to launch.
no. That's the one where he's a man child where he stays at home and Terry Bradshaw's his dad and he's naked in the house.
Fool's Gold.
Yeah, Fool's Gold.
Haven't seen that one.
Yeah, they can't. I don't know why I know all these movies. I haven't even seen them.
Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. I did see Babylon on Paramount Plus
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend. It's a 3 hour long movie, and it was probably the most Oscar. Excuse me. Got that mayonnaise and coffee's coming up. Most Oscar-y bait movie because it was all about Hollywood and had big stars like Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and it was labeled as a dud and a failure, and it did nothing financially. It was panned by critics, and I gotta say, not as bad as people make it out to be. I was thoroughly entertained. It's a 3 hour long movie, and there are some questionable decisions made, but I was I was into it. I like stuff like that. I like going back in history and looking at the way things were back at a certain time. It's based in 1920s Hollywood before sound came into pictures, and it's very fascinating. Again, it's 3 hours long, and there's a lot of it tries to be like Wolf of Wall Street meets Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Gotcha.
and it was trying to be Oscar-y and try too hard at times, but I thought it was a solid movie. Everyone made it out to be like it was the biggest bust of the year.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fine.
Agreed. Okay. We'll have to take we got to watch that. Whatever can break me out of this funk of watching these last two. Sheesh.
Well, there's definitely some. It's like I said, going along the lines of Wolf of Wall Street. There are some intense scenes. Like they're definitely going for shock value. I think I've seen in that movie every like bodily function you can perform, you see in that movie.
Okay.
So there you go.
Oh man, now I might go watch that right now.
Yeah, you got to wake up for work tomorrow. It's a 3 hour movie.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll sacrifice it. If they're showing every bodily function imaginable, sign me up.
There you go. Steven does not care anymore. Showing up for work tired and just for the sake of seeing some body functions.
It's okay, everyone. I watch Babylon. It's all good. You understand, right? Yep. Cool.
Yeah, that's what I'll say tomorrow when I'm going to the bathroom every 5 minutes. It's okay. I just had coffee and mayonnaise. I'm all good.
Yep. Well, they'll understand.
Will they? All right, Steven. I think that puts a bow on tonight. Yeah. Back on Wednesday, you say?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. We'll react to the Warriors. We'll see what they do against the old Mavericks, if they come to play or if they go back to what they usually do on the road. So we'll see if they improve, and we'll see if there's any more fuckery that's a little sexier for my liking, if you know what I mean.
I'm sure there will be something.
All right. Until then, everybody, thanks for watching. Ernie, Jesse, whoever else watches this thing. Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
Damn it. Phoebe, get off the counter. Just your opinion, man.